Oh boy, you're in for a treat on this one. So this video has probably cost us about £3,000 to make. Admittedly, it's mostly for ourselves and kind of what we're doing with cold email at the minute. So what we have done is tested six of the biggest cold email providers on the market right now. In fact, it's important to note, today's date is the 19th of the 11th, 2025. This stuff changes every single day. However, right now, we've got all of the maths to prove it. These are the best email providers on the market, as we've seen. There are also some terrible ones, and I'm going to go through and recommend all of it for you. So what we've done is tested loads and loads of data. So we've done loads of different domains, we've done loads of different costings, we've done literally everything. We've split this up across hundreds of clients, thousands of email accounts, all to kind of show, basically to test a couple of things. First off, is warm up worthwhile doing? And also, which email provider is the best? So what we've done, we've tested it across different this is just highlighting three, but we've tested this across all of our clients. So every single client that we have at the minute is running a split of these. So you have about 50 different variants of offers. You've got 50 different styles of emails. You've got 50 different target markets. You've got basically as many variables as we could put in with regards to who we're contacting, which should give us a better split of the actual data and what we're receiving with regards to the email accounts. Because the positive reply rate and everything like that mainly relies on your offer. The reply rate as a whole, though, is about how well your emails land in somebody's inbox. Nobody has ever gone to their spam and emailed saying, "No thanks, I'm not interested," to an email. They just delete them or leave them. So we know that the reply rate is the biggest factor that we can play around with at the minute. On that note, these are the reply rates that we have seen to do really well. So a lot of what we've been using over the last couple of years is mail scale. So we've tested old versus new. You can see the volume. So these are the number of people who've contacted. We have not messed around with the amount of volume. Like, we're talking 16,000 emails. Some people don't even do that a year. And we're doing that just solely for this test per inbox. The only one that's slightly low is premium inboxes and F60. We had problems getting those set up. Premium inboxes were a complete nightmare to work with, despite the fact they've got the highest reply rate, and I'll dive into that in a bit more detail. F60, the volume still even like 10% of that, but it still gives us a really good flavour for what their reply rate is. And these things tend not to get better. Like, F60 is by far the worst cold email provider on the market right now. Yeah, just like terrible. The second worst is mail scale. So we bought a load of new inboxes to do this test with. We sent 25,000 emails. The reply rate was 1.9. So you can see, like, some of these are like nearly 50% more. In fact, all of them scored better other than lovely F60. The old inboxes, which is another interesting variable. So we've been testing some of these for years. The reply rate drastically drops for that as well. Once again, still F60 outshines how terrible they are. We'll go to the next best, which is Maildoso. So Maildoso did really well for what they are. So they're an SMTP provider. However, they have also had a couple of issues with their servers being taken down. And literally, like, at one point, their company was turned off overnight with their servers and everything. So it's a bit risky, and also for their kind of reply rate and everything, I would probably avoid. You then go to the next best, which is MailReef. Really good company. They're doing it in a very different way. You end up with dedicated servers. So your server has your IP address, and everything in between is just like focused just solely on you having your own thing. So you're not bombarded in the same group. Like Mailscale, Maildoso, all share IPs, or at least have a certain number of people on each IP. So if you're getting somebody that's doing something against the rules or anything like that, it affects those drastically. Yeah, so with MailReef, it's got a very clever infrastructure, and I think that's what's done so well. Interestingly, it was one of the few that actually did better with less warm up, which is interesting. But still, overall, a very solid score. We'll come into kind of costings in a second. The next one's Zap Mail. So I spoke to them at length. So in fact, I've had like 2-hour-long calls with them about cold email and their infrastructure and so on. So Zap Mail is like a reseller of Google and Microsoft accounts. So on this test, we were just using Google, just for clarity. And it works really well. However, they are quite expensive because they are actually literally just selling like Google workspaces. So like your domains, your inboxes are $3 an inbox. But really clever way of doing it. And if you know this space at all, so what most companies do in this space is they will sign up as a university in the Philippines. Don't ask why, but the main reason is it's because it's really difficult to verify. So Google struggles to verify whether or not this is actually a university, whether it actually exists. So they just give you the cheap email accounts. But very quickly, they will clock on to, hold on a minute, this person's cold emailing, this one's been reported to spam, this, and they'll pull the rights for you to use it as a university, because they've caught you out, basically. And then overnight, all of them will be wiped out. That's why instantly, and their pre-warmed up inboxes and so on are telling people, oh, we've had some issue with Microsoft, it's like all of your inboxes are gone. Sorry. That's actually what's happening, is they're being caught out. It's literally against Google's terms and conditions to send cold emails. But they have done it in a very clever way where they are focusing solely on actually having proper ecosystems for it. So they are all individual email accounts. They have basically got bulk discount for being a Google partner, and they are offering inboxes outside of that, so that you just get your discounted rate, basically. Not to dumb it down too much, but it's individual ecosystems. So if one of them gets flagged, that one will be taken down, but you've still got all of the rest of them on all of the rest of the domains. So it works really, really well. It kind of spreads the risk. Mainly, the main reason we don't use any of these kind of like skinning ones is because like there's so much risk. If we've got 5,000 plus email accounts now, so if 5,000 email accounts got turned off tomorrow, worst case, you don't get the domains back. Worst case, you don't get any of the message history. It's all gone like that. And you've got to start again and have a 2-week warm-up process. So far, far from ideal. Where did I get to? We've done mail, really, Zap Mail. So once again, they scored extremely well. But we'll dive into that in a bit more detail in a minute. Once again, overall, the warm-up one did better. 448 responses, 16,000 emails. Still arguably pretty terrible, but yeah. Premium inboxes. So the main problem with this is we couldn't test what they did warmed up because they were such a nightmare to get set up. We had so much fun and games with them. In fact, let me just check what their pricing is because I don't know off the top of my head. Premium inboxes. Premium inboxes. Just look. Okay, pricing. You can get as little as 2.5 an inbox. So once again, I imagine they're using a similar kind of process. I actually haven't spoken to these at length, just because it was such a nightmare to get everything set up. You manually have to add the SMTPs in, you manually have to do all of the work, like the setup process, where on Instantly, in fact I can show you, on Instantly, when you add any of these others in, you go to inboxes, add new account, and you just do this, press this button, even if it's other providers, and then you just upload a CSV, and within seconds they're all uploaded and done. Premium inboxes, you've literally got to go through the process of adding these individually and putting the email address in and then continuing and by going through it, and it's a complete nightmare to get set up. So this is probably me just being lazy, because realistically their deliverability is amazing and kind of like best on the market right now. I can't say I would recommend them, just with our experience we had of them, the fact that we haven't done as much volume. But overall, you know, if the warm up, so the warm up ratio, this is with 2 weeks of warm up, this is with no warm up. You can see a higher response rate and overall combined score. across all of the accounts that we tried warmed up versus all of the ones we didn't warm up. It makes perfect sense. I was expecting a humongous difference between the two. Realistically, very little. So that's just a bit of context for you. But yeah, so the next thing you come to is the costing. So with premium inboxes, you're looking at $2.50. That's with like a stupendous amount. Realistically, you're probably going to be starting off at $3.50. Zap mail, you are also looking at the same kind of numbers. Not a lot in it if you're choosing between the two. Zap mail is easier to implement. They've probably got a longer term, more bulletproof solution than premium inboxes, and it's a massive pain to get set up. It's also US IP, which doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing, but if you're targeting people in the UK, how does that impact? I'm probably, like, the maths say these guys are the best. Everything else, it was such a headache to work with that I would probably avoid it. We've then got Mail Reef. So the Mail Reef's pricing is completely different. So you are paying. This is a good tool to check your deliverability if you're ever wondering. Mail Reef. Here we go. Apparently, I've never been on this website. Okay, pricing. So it makes absolutely no sense being charged per send. You've got all of this. What it actually boils down to in actual money is about 83p an inbox. So if we do the maths on this, so these are 0.83. These are, in fact, we'll go middle of the road and say, in fact, we'll go lower in 3. What was premium inboxes? 2.5. 2. If you look at the amount of volume we can send, we could nearly send 3 times as many emails through MailReef than we can premium inboxes or Zap Mail. So the question is the deliverability 3 times better? Or even double, because you've got to factor in buying more people to email. But the lead scraping tools that we've got are significantly cheaper than the rest of the market. So I'll do a video on that for another day. But you're not paying a lot for leads anymore. So, which are they getting double the reply rate? 2.35 to 3.2. No. So we are going to move pretty much 7,000 email accounts, because we're going to add some more, over to MailReef, because the numbers suggest that they are by far the best value for money and easiest to set up and easiest to work with. The customer service is excellent. So right now, the best cold email providers on the market right now is MailReef, with one exception. If your market is tiny and you need to squeeze as much juice out of the market as possible, I would have a look at Zapmail. Possibly premium inboxes, because you'll only have to do the setup once. But I would be leaning towards Zapmail if I wasn't doing MailReef. And with Zapmail, you can do a lower amount of volume and target your market more specifically. The other benefit of Zapmail is you can do inbox matching, where basically, because they Google, when they email Google, their deliverability is better than SMTP, which is like these. Where premium inboxes, I don't actually know what their infrastructure looks like on the back end. They might just be using Google accounts. With the setup process we went through, I can't imagine they are. They are doing something with SMTP, if I was to guess, that is working really well and outperforming the rest of the market. But they are charging more for the privilege, so maybe they are just white labeling Gmail accounts or something. But from the ones that I spoke to, that kind of gives you the conclusion. The other thing that I wanted to dive into a little bit more is warm up. So having this warmed up, obviously we're testing this over the first month, so it will be really interesting to see what the longevity of this is. So we've got much higher reply rate, we've got much higher, well, I say much higher, not a lot higher reply rate for warmed up ones versus non-warmed up ones. It will be interesting to see over the long period if that has an impact, or whether this comes back up to meet this, or this comes down to meet this. So we will keep you updated as we go, but right now, on the market, I would be looking at Zap Mail if you've got a small market and you need to get in people's inboxes. If you've got a massive market, MailRoof is by far the best. I will put 2 links for both of those. I will get affiliate fees on it, but also you will get a discount. So probably worth doing. But yeah, I hope that was helpful. I haven't seen any other video on the whole of YouTube or anywhere that has gone into this much detail. And to be honest with you, it's like we've spent all of this money trying to make it work. So you might as well benefit from it as well. But yeah,